Engage in new battles with parties of up to 8 characters.
We're in this together. Please and thank you!
Time to teach you a lesson.
Witness a tale of beginnings that unfolds across Orstera. Octopath Traveler 0.
Welcome back to Retro Rebound. In today's video, we are talking about one of my favorite JRPG series, and that is Octopath Traveler. Y'all know I live and breathe these HD 2D titles. Square Enix has been feeding us really good. We're just a couple of weeks removed from Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake. Here we are now talking about Octopath Traveler 0. Now, of course, I love Octopath Traveler because the art style was so breakthrough, so innovative, so nostalgic, yet so modern. And then Octopath Traveler 2 just takes everything a mile further with some incredible stories, some incredible battles, and it is one of my favorite JRPGs of all time. So naturally, I was really excited when Octopath Traveler 0 was announced earlier this year. For those who don't know the backstory of this game, it was originally a mobile title under the name Champions of the Continent. Now, I love Octopath Traveler. I don't love it that much, and I'm glad I don't love it that much and didn't play because it's been rethought and re-released as an official premium Octopath Traveler title for $50, and you can get this on all platforms, whether you're on PC, Switch, Switch 2, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox consoles. Boom, you're good to go. And $50 nowadays, easy win. I've been playing this on my PS5 because you know me and my trophies. Got to get some trophies if I can. I don't know if I'll platinum it, but if there's ever a chance I do, that's how I operate, unfortunately. Makes my purchase real easy. Plus, I'm able to play this on my PS Portal with a new update where you can just straight up stream to that thing. So this is a beautiful handheld title as well. So that was an easy purchase for me. But how is this game? And the real question is for a lot of people, how much mobile can you feel in this one? Admittedly, compared to a Octopath Traveler 1 or 2 or eventually 3, the level of excitement here was different. And I went into this one a bit more cautious because I thought, all right, like if you can feel a lot of the mobile jank here, it's going to be a problem. Also, is this just like a quick dip for cash just to kind of keep the Octopath Traveler series going, or like does this tell a meaningful story? And so I have a lot of thoughts on this one, as I'm sure many of you expect, because I'm like positively obsessed with this franchise. So let's talk about it. If you're new here and you're into nostalgic or retrospective content or the occasional day one-ish review, consider subscribing. First thing that's really different about Octopath Traveler 0 is that it has a character creator now. So it's not like pick one of 8 different characters and start your story with them. You actually build yourself. You get to customize your look. You pick a starter skill at the beginning of the game alongside your favorite food. You get to name your favorite food. And so I naturally picked dumplings. Love me some pork dumplings. And then you pick 3 belongings, kind of Dark Souls style there. I always think of that franchise when I think of like starter items. And then eventually at the end of the prologue, you pick your starting job. So I do like this approach here because you don't see this often in pixel art games where you can like create your own character. So I really thought that was nice to see. The game starts off in a small town called Wishvale. And I think the first shot of this game is just magical because of how immediately nostalgic it all feels, and in turn really describes Octopath Traveler in a cutscene. So I just want you to take a look and a listen for yourself. It's that combination of character performance, the HD 2D art style, and this beautiful orchestral score that just creates a sense of place in Octopath Traveler. So familiar, yet so interesting, so much you want to explore, yet so homey at the same time. It's wonderful. Now, unfortunately, this town gets burned down to the ground by 3 different villains. Wealth, power, fame, kind of the 3 themes the story tackles. And unfortunately, because it's been burned down, you now must rebuild Wishvale. We'll get to that in a moment. But basically, the way the story goes here, I think people who are really against how Octopath Traveler was telling its story in the first and second game across these episodes with these different characters and then not really having them unite here will actually like this story because it's a lot more cohesive. Now, I think people really really, I'm going to say it for a third time, really undersell how cohesive Octopath Traveler 2 is. I understand the problems with 1, but I think 2 is much more cohesive and the party members interact plenty, but people, I think, really undersell what that game does. But definitely this game has all these characters kind of interacting in cutscenes. It's like much more of a natural JRPG, if you will. And in turn, you get to pick one of these 3 villains and basically go after them, whether it be wealth, power, or fame. And because of that cohesive approach, and alongside like not as badly level gated where, you know, the first chapter is level 6, you're already there. Then you get to chapter 2 and it's level 10, you're already there. So it doesn't feel like I'm getting blocked in this game, where, of course, one of the problems people have with Octopath Traveler as a series is you'll do like the first chapter of a story and go, damn, that was really good. I want to do another chapter. And you'll do that next chapter. And then all of a sudden you need to like get 20 more levels. And you go, well, I'm going to go ahead and I guess do this story over here instead. The game kind of tells you what to do a lot more. This game, I think, allows you to kind of explore at your own pace. There's a lot more to do in this world as well, as we'll get into in a moment here. So the game is a lot more free and open compared to any prior Octopath Traveler game in my experience. And I do think, again, people will like this more cohesive narrative here. I have some thoughts on the story itself, which is that the opening is really strong. Afterwards, it's a little bit slow going, like you're kind of restarting again, which I think works thematically because you're starting to rebuild Wishvale and kind of establish that gameplay mechanic. So it does slow the tempo a little bit. And then also the villains are very cookie cutter anime, mwahaha, mustache twirling kind of villains. And if these villains develop into something more interesting, I have yet to see it. Like, I think of August. He is the most anime ass villain I have seen in a video game in a while. Like, this dude kills people for his plays, and like, it's a cool idea, but I hope they take his character in a more interesting direction beyond the obvious surface level evil villain shtick here. But I think the best characters really lie in those who are in Wishvale with you, because their performances are really good. Like, Stia so far is a very captivating character. She's a carpenter, she's capable, but she's also like very sentimental, and I like her. Fen is very protective. So these initial characters and kind of the bond you forge with them through your town, I think, is the best part of the story. And the villains seem like slow burns. Also, because of the town system that we're about to talk about, there's a lot more characters in this story than really any prior Octopath Traveler game. So it's going to be a big revolving door here, which makes it hard for some characters to stick in your brain, comparatively speaking. So I talked a lot about this town getting burned down. What happens here? So there is town building in this game. So you find resources throughout the open world. You can also like complete quests and get items, and you can go back to the town and create buildings. Like, you can set up hubs, you can set up taverns, workshops, you can set up houses for people to live in. And then when you go back into Orstera and you start just exploring the world itself and going to towns, you'll be using your path actions, I think, more than any prior Octopath entry, because you're going to be just wanting to get to know all these characters because you can invite them to your town. Now, it's not completely limitless, but that's the exciting part, is that they all have their own passive bonuses for the town. Like, some people bring more metal supplies, some people bring more lumber supplies, some people will allow it to be cheaper to restore your reputation at the bar. You know, passive abilities like that. And this is a good time to mention that instead of like in the previous Octopath Traveler games where your path actions filtered under the different characters that you'd meet and unite, it's all under one character now, which again, I think is less of a blocker for people who just kind of want to play how they want to play. So this game presents a lot of interesting, unique ideas, and they're really well fleshed out. Like, I love the town building in this game. It's very simple, very approachable, but I like how it grows, because the opening of the game I find to be so strong that you really want to get it back to that point there. And the music there is so beautiful, and you can feel the desire from all of the main party members to get this town back in order. And I just think that is something kind of beautiful that Octopath Traveler really hasn't explored as much. And then you can actually like level up your town. So leveling up the town allows for new buildings to come in, new people to arrive, like a bigger roster of people to arrive. And also you can hire these people as followers to help you in combat. And yeah, it's a good time to mention that there's like a front row and a back row. Like, there's 8 people who can be fighting at once, which is pretty crazy. So like I said, and I'm not trying to overstate it here, but a lot of characters in and out here. And you can kind of feel the mobile game a little bit in that. Like, one good example is when I did a I put this in quotes, side story. I found this character, Alexia, who was within a town of Theateropolis, and I talked to her, and she's like, oh, I'm busy, basically. So to get her onto your team, you put a single path action into her. So I think I inquired, and then I took a book from her, and then she saw my ring and was like, oh my God, we were destined to cross paths. And all of a sudden she gets this like full art panel, and she's on the team now. And it definitely had that small feeling of, well, she has no story significance. This feels like a character I probably would have rolled for in a gacha game that has now been repurposed. So it's in those moments a bit that you can feel slightly the mobile game energy here. Like, she is not a naturally brought in party member here. In turn, this game does have unique gameplay ideas because you have so many party members to balance. It does mean some fights end up being a breeze, but not all of them. Like, the boss fights, I think, do deliver thus far from what I've played, because they'll hit hard and they'll come at you and whittle everyone's health down, and it does cause you to react. And I think if you fall asleep at the wheel, they'll get you. But if you've played a lot of Octopath Traveler, especially some of their endgame fights, I think you're going to be more than well trained for this one and not have much of a problem with what's presented here. This game, from what I've read online, is over 100 hours. And so there's a lot of game to chew through here. So I can't really say right now, because I did not get review access to this one, how after 100 hours of just chewing through very easy fights, if that gets in the way or not here. But I think it is a kind of completionist style game, because where I felt the most into it, the most hooked, was just kind of messing with the town, recruiting people with the town. That feels like the real heartbeat of the game. Now, are there other elements of Octopath Traveler 0 where you can feel the mobile in it? I think maybe with the amount of progression systems here and how they function. For example, I found a blue chest in a ice dungeon, and I was told that I can't open it till my town level is higher, which doesn't really make any sense. But I think the idea of going back to re-explore a dungeon in this game, which, by the way, there are random encounters, so you don't know how many fights you have to go back into to get to that chest, which just kind of feels like a bit of a time waster. Or if it were a mobile game, like, hey, grind and go get that chest again, right? So little things like that, again, feel like a rethought mobile game. And the last one, although it is just an assumption, is cutscene presentation. The cutscenes themselves are really great, but there's a lot of fade to blacks. And I'm talking about like fade to blacks where even the camera's panning left to right because they're going to show something across the level in the same scene, and they'll fade to black and like load it in, and all of a sudden there are enemies there. Like, it was toward the end of the prologue when they were escaping from town, I saw this and I was like, that was kind of jarring. And they really lean on that a lot, or screen flashes. Like, Octopath Traveler has always used these types of tricks to kind of compensate for a lack of animation. Like, they've leaned on their VFX and screen flashes, and it works very well. But I feel like you can see through the illusion a lot more here. And my guess is because Octopath Traveler 1 to 2 was such a vast improvement, and then 0 feels like a bit of a regression here, that this might be some just old mobile game constraints here that never got an uptick. So all in all, I don't really feel too much mobile here, which is a great thing. And so what you have here is a fairly priced 100+ hour JRPG with complete cozy vibes, town building, great combat, an interesting story hook, although it moves a lot slower, where it's kind of Octopath Traveler 1 vibes here. If you're looking for something more like that, I think you'll be right at home here. Octopath Traveler 2, I really loved because of its characters, which I thought were incredible. Like, Throne and Casti just still live in my brain, but also there's a level of darkness in those games, and this game is going for that darkness, but I think Octopath Traveler 2's darkness felt a little more like evil human, truly, and believable at that, whereas Octopath Traveler 0 right now feels a little mustache twirly. That can change. I've heard some really great things about the narrative, but right now I'm just giving you my impressions early on after about 10 hours. Are there any issues otherwise here? I think the only other one I'll mention to you is there's weird pitching with this game, not in gameplay or in combat, only in cutscenes. And I've seen people report it thinking it was like a Switch 1 issue, but I'm playing on the PS5 and there'll just be cutscenes where just hiccups, usually at like right at the start of it. It's not a deal breaker at all. I'm not losing my mind. I'm not screaming, my Unreal Engine, you know, I'm not freaking out, but it's just something to be aware of here. I get why this comes in as like the quote lowest reviewed Octopath Traveler, because it's a little bit more, to my eye, inconsistent in things like visual polish compared to Octopath Traveler 1 or 2 even. But I think if like you're an Octopath Traveler fanboy like myself, you're gonna have a great time here. Like I've been talking so much smack about swearing off these 100+ hour games for the next couple months, but this is kind of, I mean, Octopath Traveler is like this undeniable charm for me, but this also has like an addictive element to it. Funny enough, mobile game, where I don't know, I might really stick with it. I might. We'll see. I mean, it's definitely one of those things where I want to see how the story goes. If the story starts cooking, I will hang with it, but I want to make sure I have my impressions out here and that you're all aware of kind of what those opening hours are like for this game, which definitely reminded me a lot more of Octopath Traveler 1. I think for those who are looking at this saying, do I have to play Octopath 1 or 2 to appreciate Octopath 0? No, but my answer is always the same of like, your enjoyment of this will be greatly enhanced, especially when you start to see characters from the first game appear here in 0. It's a really cool feeling. Otherwise, though, like, you know, hey, look, we're trying to recruit as many people as possible to the Octopath Traveler fandom, so hop on in. This is a great place to start if you're interested in the franchise. Of course, I'll always say 2 is the best one of these 3, but I mean, all of these are great games, so just get your adventure started. I think this is a great pickup, great holiday game. If you're like trying to sink your teeth into something long term over the holidays and you're like, I just need a game that's like good on the go, or I need a game that I can just sit on the couch for hours and play and it's going to last me a long time, and especially great bang for your buck. Again, $50 game. This is a great choice here. So I've been enjoying my time with Octopath Traveler 0, not really singing the praises to the heights of Octopath Traveler 2 or even 1, but definitely still a great JRPG thus far. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Please fire away. I'd love to know how you're enjoying Octopath Traveler 0, because I know we're a couple of days after the game has already come out here and reviews are already out. So if you're here, you're a real one. I appreciate you, and I'll catch all of you in the next Retro Rebound. Peace out.